I came here when I was 11 because in my country it's like this demonstration, the government's corrupt but I never imagined in my life I'll come to Australia and I will experience this and my son have to go through that. No way. I will stand here in the rain, in the cold. Yes, I will. United we stand. People are the power. Government are here to serve and protect us, not to put fear. People, please, I beg you, this bill will only serve one person, and that person is Dan Andrew. We're not going to benefit anything. We're all targeted. We just want to have Melbourne back. Get Dan so Melbourne can shine again.
Okay, we're going straight into the show. Here's my my gorgeous co-host, Damien
Technically challenged.
He's looking fucking smashing. He's looking already great for the thing. And speaking of number one haircuts, here's Craig Cole with his and Craig Cole. We've had him on once before. It's great to have him on again. We always meet him at the marches. And and here we are, Craig, sitting here, and the people hate me saying at the edge of democracy, but this bill goes through. Democracy's in doubt. And welcome to the show.
Good evening, Michael. Good evening, Damien. And it's a pleasure to be here again. And good evening to everyone watching. Thanks for joining us. And it's always a pleasure to get on here and chew the fat with you guys.
Now, before we start, and because I want some questions for you, you actually talked to Catherine Cummings the other night at length. Could you fill in what your view of what she was saying?
I did, mate. Yeah. So what I'll do is I'll also, if you don't mind, Michael, I'll call up a text message that she sent me as well too. So I was hearing a lot of as you know, the rumor, the good old social media rumor file. It's absolutely crazy. So you know, they take about probably 5% of truth and stretch it out into a fairy tale. But so I actually rang up Catherine and said, and she rang me back. And I said, what's the situation? Okay. So I'll take you through it slowly because I don't want people to misinterpret what I'm saying either.
All right.
Okay. There was some misinformation put out, and don't correct me if I'm wrong, but apparently it was from Bernie Finn. He tweeted that Catherine Cummings sided with the Labor Party. That wasn't the case at all. Okay. Good old Bernie. And once again, everybody's heightened. And, you know, the politicians in there are no doubt feeling the pinch as well too, because especially on the Liberal side and the independents, because they know, you know, they don't want to go down in history as the people that let this through either. So, you know, just a bit of a sidebar. Shame on you and hang your head in shame to every lower house Labor politician that voted to put this bill through. And every upper house one that's going to vote to put it through as well too. We, as in myself, people like Michael, if this bill goes through, even if it doesn't, we are going to plaster your faces and names everywhere, not only in Victoria, but throughout the country, as the politicians that voted to implement a communist bill. So I hope you're damn proud of yourself, because you won't be in the future, and you have to live in a society known as the politicians that wanted to implement communism into this country. So congratulations, you will pay the price. Now, I spoke to Catherine and she said, I said, what's happening, mate? And she said to me, nobody has seen Adam Samurak. Adam Samurak hasn't been in the building at all. Now, this was about probably 2:30, 3 o'clock in the afternoon that I've spoken to her, and Adam Samurak still wasn't sighted. Okay. Labor, now we can have a chat about this after I've finished explaining, because Labor wanted to postpone the bill. Okay. I don't know. It's very strange, because if Adam Samurak wasn't in the building, you'd think they'd probably want to try and push it through. Yeah, because they knew that his vote would stifle what they were trying to do. But they postponed it. They put forward a motion to postpone it. Now, Catherine Cummings agreed. Okay, so what Bernie Finn's done, or so I'm led to believe, is put it out there. Oh, Catherine Cummings sided with the Labor Party and is doing secret background deals. That wasn't the case at all. Catherine Cummings obviously knew that they needed Adam Samurak in the building to be able to vote to block the bill. That's why she agreed to postpone the debate and postpone the bill, because they needed Adam Samurak there. I mean, it's pretty logical, really, when you think about it. So,
why did Labor put it up for postponement in the first place?
That's the $64 million question, Damien. Why? Why would you think? Now, I've got my own theory on that, and it's just a theory. Yeah, definitely. So as you know about the Brian Shaw papers and good old Shoelaces Andrews being charged with misprision of treason and fraud. Okay,
now that's today. I think he was served today, wasn't he? I think he was served.
No, he was served. Those papers were served, I think, last week or a week and a half ago.
Okay, right.
Okay, has to appear in murder.
I heard he didn't accept them, so he accepted them, did he?
It doesn't matter if he accepts them or not.
No, I thought they couldn't get to him. That's all. Yeah, something like that. Anyway, it's all rumours, like you're saying. Keep going.
Yeah,
Craig.
it doesn't matter if he accepts them or not. Of course, he's not going to accept them because he's a coward. Okay, so it doesn't matter if he accepts them or not. He has to appear at the Myrtleford Magistrates Court on the 17th of December. And now he has to appear personally. If he doesn't appear personally, if you don't appear in court, an arrest warrant will be issued for his arrest. Okay. Now, also, what's been happening is all different politicians, both Labor and Liberal, but predominantly Labor, have been served the same papers. Okay, with notification that if they do not table that in Parliament within 7 days, or bring it to the public's awareness within 7 days, because they have the file as well too, they will be charged with concealment as well too. But they also, because they're sitting, I'm just trying to quote Brian because I did speak with Brian on the phone for about an hour the other day. If they do not table that, they also have to resign within 7 days because they're sitting unlawfully. Because the Crown, if you go back even further, the whole reason for this is the Crown was taken out of the courts and also Parliament in 2004 or 2008, one of those dates. Don't quote me on that. It's a bit foggy. So many facts go through your head. It's sometimes you get them. Yeah. So that's the deal there. Now, my line of thinking is Labor's obviously gone into panic mode because Jacinta Allen, good old Broomhilda, flies around in Bendigo on a broomstick. She was served as well. She was notified as well too, and she's a big heavy hitter in the state Labor Party, and also a lot of other Labor MPs. I think James Molino was one of them as well too. So I think this is just my read. Now, I might be wrong, okay, but just my personal read is that they've gone into massive panic, pull back in the shutters. What are we going to do about this? That's the reason for the postponement, because the minute Adam Samurek wasn't in the building, you'd think they'd try and rush it through because they would have got the vote through.
But even that doesn't really make sense, does it, Craig? Because that doesn't really add up. I mean,
no, none of it makes sense. I mean, that's just a calculated.
If anything, that would make them push it as fast as they could and as hard as they could in case that their pass was going to catch up with them legally.
Well, exactly. But then again, once this all goes to court and, this is not a fanciful flight of fancy thing that Brian Shaw's made up. This is years and years of work and years of attempting to get, it's been blocked in all our, Justice Chris Maxwell, what a lovely piece of work he is. He's had an appeal for the Grand Court jury that Rob Hulls unlawfully took out of the I forget the name of the act now, but in 2009, Rob Hulls struck out the Grand Court jury out of Victorian legislation, stating to the MPs at the time, this is just an old antiquated common law piece of legislation that doesn't serve us anymore. What Rob Hulls didn't tell the parliamentarians at the time is he was being charged under Grand Court jury by Brian Shaw for taking the Crown out of the courts. So,
what is Grand Court jury, if you wouldn't just mind explaining it for our viewers?
Yeah, so the Grand Court jury
us as well.
Pardon?
Probably us as well.
Oh, mate, I'm
looking at it on the viewers, but really,
I'm still getting the last 18 months, the last 20 months for me has been the biggest influx of information of all time in my life.
There's all these constitutional lawyers on the steps of the Parliament at the moment. Do you know what I mean? People have had 18 months to 2 years to really dig into the Constitution. It's quite an incredible conversation to have with people at times.
But how much?
Sorry.
Oh no,
I was just going to ask you, in your opinion, what is a grand
It's a jury of your peers, mate. 23 people, jury of your peers. Okay, and they hear all the evidence, and then a judge still presides over the case. Obviously, well, doesn't preside, but he's just there to now. Correct me if I'm wrong. To give the punishment, if you will. Okay, once the decision is made by a jury of your peers. Now, how that 23 people are chosen, I'm still not fully afraid with that. So please don't ask me that, because I'm still sort of getting my head around how those people.
Yeah, it's a bit confusing. I talked to Brian myself, and there's a lot of it sort of.
But it is lawful. It is common law, and it did used to be, up until Rob Hulls took it out. It was actually it's under common law.
It only was only real as a Victorian statute, wasn't it? I don't think it existed in any other state.
I'm not sure, mate. I'm not really sure of that. So
we're trying to get Brian Shaw onto the show, haven't we, Michael, to explain it to us? But he doesn't have a computer, so
no,
we're struggling to get him on.
Yeah.
Well, I'll tell you what.
So that's why we get you with these questions.
If you want to get him on, mate, I'll take my laptop up to Brian's place and we can get it organised if you like.
Yeah, I told him, he said, he's going to be on Talkback Radio. I said, well, this is the medium where you got to meet people and so we can hear it. But just moving on for a sec.
He's a pretty private person.
Yeah, any idea where Adam is? Adam, how do you say his second name?
Somurek. Yeah.
Because no one seems to have heard from him. He seems to have gone to ground.
Even that's got stink written all over it. So he puts out a tweet. Now he knows well and full that he's would have been threatened. So once again the rumor mill is Adam Somurek's been threatened and his life's in danger and blah blah blah. He fully well knows the bullying that goes on in the Labor Party and the people responsible that good old Shoelaces Andrews gets to bully people and threaten people. So he would fully well know that. Now, he put out a tweet the day before that he's going to be appearing, and because the reason is that one person doesn't deserve to have this much power.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, that was.
So I think this thing's been played out. Is another line of thinking. You can say that this is a deliberate attack by all of them to cause confusion. And once again, confusion is a birthplace for fear, to further drive fear and confusion into the public that are already fearful and confused. So
they're worn out by it.
Pardon?
They're worn out by it.
Yeah.
People are worn out by fear. They're worn out by constant fear. They're worn out about not knowing where the future is. People just want to make plans. You can't set up a business because you don't know if it's going to shut down the day you set it up. You don't know how much of this vaccinations you're going to take. We're going to be taking boosters for the rest of our lives. We don't know whether this bill's going to go through and whether this guy's going to become emperor. It's no one knows anything.
No, it's
constantly.
Can I just read you a statement that was put out by Catherine in case you weren't aware of it? She sent me a text message.
Sure.
Yeah, it's a bit lengthy, but I'll try and get through it as quick as I can. But it just provides some context, okay? Now, because Bernie Finn put out that, and I think it was Bernie. If it wasn't Bernie, well, apologies, Bernie. But
no, Bernie did put something out. He definitely put something out. Yeah. We've got him on Monday night too, so we can put the accusation to him.
Yeah. All right. So because of that tweet, obviously the heightened people out there who are just looking to pin blame on anyone. Some threats were made against Catherine Cummings' children, which is totally unacceptable. Okay, so she was all heightened and worried about that as well too, as as anyone would be. But I'll just read you the statement. Just bear with me. I supported the government's move to delay the passage of the bill to allow further consultation to take place. I have since had a meeting with the government. I have requested that the government consult with all of the crossbench and the opposition. This will allow for the concerns that many Victorians have expressed with the pandemic bill to be heard. I have also asked that all the current amendments and any proposed through the consultation are given serious consideration by the government and that the changes need to be made to reflect the community's concerns with the bill. I raised the concerns around oversight, detention, and the powers of authorised officers and asked that they are addressed, as well as those raised by QCs and the Law Institute. I want to assure you that the bill will not be debated this week to allow for changes to be made. I also request that the government reconsider vaccine mandates. Until the sitting week, we have hope that changes may be made. During this time, I want everyone to continue to show love and compassion to each other. Due to misinformation that continues to fill social media, I now have 24/7 security to protect my family. Other members of Parliament have also been threatened. This is not okay. I ask for calm. Please do not circulate any misinformation or jump to conclusions. Please continue to be kind and compassionate at this time while we continue to fight for our freedoms. We need more hope and calm voices.
Do you know, I have to say, I am yet to see much violence coming from the protesters in the way of threats or anything like that. And there's a lot of stuff going on now of instigators and stuff trying to make, basically they're always portraying us like Nazis. Well, Craig, we've been to most of the marches.
Oh.
And,
Mate, it's a great fight.
It's a great vibe. You actually feel like you're a pre-COVID Australian,
It's a great vibe.
Pre-COVID, that's good.
Yeah, the last two have been fantastic. The energy and the vibe has just been amazing. It's been blessed to have been there, and even the ones before when there was violence perpetrated by the police, the port guys, the little blue Ninja Turtles, who won.
Westgate one, remember?
Sorry.
We were at the Westgate one. I met you there at the Westgate.
City. Yeah, exactly. So it's people that are seeking comfort in each other and receiving comfort for each other. You're having people there meeting for the first time who have been talking to each other on social media. So it's a whole plethora of benefits from these. And as you know, the government, and this is not a Born Identity movie, the government do have plants in the crowd. The police do have plants in the crowd, but the government put instigators. Now it's from little, I won't mention their names, okay, but it's from certain groups of far left antagonists that are funded by people like George Soros Institute and things like that, okay, that are deliberately designed out there to cause problems. Also what people have to remember on social media is the government have avatars. They are a real thing. The government employs people. I don't know who would want to take up this job to create, numerous fake social media accounts that actually come across as a genuine person, actually befriend people and act like they're their friends, and then plant misinformation to once again cause fear.
Do you have to be vaccinated to do that job?
Yesterday,
Maybe that's
asking
something.
For people.
Just thinking if there's any vacancies. Well, Mike would be pretty good at that. He'd be pretty bloody good.
Yeah.
I don't cut you off, but can I say I want to ask you something, mate? While there, so Catherine's concerned about her family and her children and stuff. She's still on the steps of Parliament last night, about 10:30 at night, drinking wine and smoking ciggies, saying how concerned she was for her family. It didn't strike me as a woman that's as concerned as what she might say that she was.
Yeah,
where I would have been.
And that's a good point to raise. Look, I'm no spokesperson for Catherine Cumming. All right, I can only go on how people are with me. Okay, and Catherine.
No, sure. I just thought I'd add that into the mix of the conversation. Not that you can answer for her, you're not her voice. But just as we're talking about it, I thought, well, that's a reality I noticed last night, and I couldn't help but think because she was saying to me, "Oh my God, I've got to have 24/7 protection. My children." And I was thinking at 10:30, she'd talk to everyone. Really, she needed to talk to in many respects. She was just having a ciggy and a few wines.
Yeah,
I don't know.
I mean, she's under a lot of.
Oh, she's under a lot of pressure, I'm sure, and it's the drama as much as anything too, isn't it? That suddenly she's in the limelight, she's in this absolute spotlight, which she probably wouldn't expect as an independent member of the upper house. It's her first term in Parliament.
Yeah, no, exactly.
This is a huge bill. I mean, this is enormous. This isn't just some trifling little brand new road putting in the back of Coburg. This is a significant change to our culture.
I'd go as suffice to say, Michael, that it's probably the most significant bill, not only definitely in the state's history, but in the country's history as well too. I mean, Victoria, along with New South Wales, is the most populated states in the country. And you've got, I think we're number 2 behind New South Wales, maybe. I mean, I don't know. Correct me if I'm wrong, but you're having one of the 2 biggest states in the country, basically a socialist communist state. That's what this bill will provide.
Yeah,
so
and they're talking about it in England. I've seen bloggers in England talking about it. Even that very famous one with the beard and the hippie hair. What's his name?
Yeah,
Phil Russell Brand. He's talking about it.
Brand,
too.
But it doesn't make sense that only Victoria would become a communist state because, I mean, for the GDR to exist, East Germany existed inside of the greater German landscape. It needed fences to keep everybody in. I can't imagine Victoria's, it's not small enough. I can't imagine Dan building fences around all the borders to keep everyone in. So either this rolls out, and I wouldn't put it past him, or maybe the CCP can afford it. But, this has got to roll out further than just Daniel Andrews. Otherwise, it will fall over eventually. It may fall over eventually anyway, but it must be part of a greater picture than just Victoria.
Because everyone would leave.
Well, Victoria, as we know, Victoria is a test case for the rest of the country. I mean, Australia is a test case for the rest of the world. Victoria is a test case for the rest of Australia. We're the only state that signed up to the Strong Cities Agreement as well too. So we're an extra. There's an extra added little bit of spice to that as well too. So, and that Strong Cities network is an evil. It basically makes Victoria a police state, and everything's, we don't hear much about that at the moment. Pardon?
We've seen that. We've seen them come out of the hole and go, here we are.
Yeah, and that, believe me, that was just a taste of it when the tradies protest every day. Which didn't last very long, but it wasn't their fault.
Every day, 2 days.
Every day,
every day, 2 days.
But look, but when that tank got rolled out, it
you could have told us because we went back to the 3rd day, got arrested.
Right.
That was full on Gestapo.
We thought, every day.
Yeah, every day. Yeah, but it wasn't their fault.
They gave it a Bearcat, but it's an armored vehicle.
But that armoured vehicle, and then had the cowards doing what they did, and the good old Port team, that goose Shane Patton.
Got 3 or 4 of those vehicles now, Craig. And you saw last week we had about 80,000, maybe 100,000 people. Nothing broken, no arrests. You don't need armoured vehicles to police Melbournians. You don't need them.
And you've seen them
just for the novelty value. If there's a terrorist incident, but apart from that, you don't need vehicles like that to police Melbourne.
Yeah. So why have we
got more than one?
Well, I think he knows he will need them in time because if you keep pushing down a population like this, there's no alternative but for there to be flares of resistance. And so that's the only option he's got.
And you've seen the protest last week, Michael, 100,000, 25, 30,000 the week before. I mean, there was women carrying babies and real right-wing neo-Nazis. Like, seriously, it's just and for that imbecile Andy Medic to be calling anyone that opposes this bill a neo-Nazi. I mean, seriously, Andy's got some severe issues going on. He really has.
Clearly. Clearly.
Yeah,
we talked about him today.
If the Nazi Party was here, like if they're forming now, most of those people would fail the application anyway for all various reasons.
Yeah,
it's just a joke that they're using that word. In fact, it's almost like lazy. I mean, have you not watched these documentary shows? The documentary channel that only plays friggin' the Second World War. There's nothing.
Oh, yeah.
These are just dead ordinary Aussies who can smell bullshit and have had enough. That's it.
Well, I'm tipping, I'll go the early call if it's all right with you guys. And I just like to. Tomorrow's going to be massive, mate. Without an exaggeration, I think we'll get up to 200 250.
Come tomorrow. Yeah. Where's the thing? Come tomorrow. Starting 12 o'clock.
We'll get 250. We'll get 250,000 plus tomorrow because the groups of people that I've spoken with, I mean, there's busloads of people coming from the country. We're talking busloads, okay? Every person I've spoken to a person since Saturday is I'm bringing people that have never been before, because people now, I spoke to a lady today who lives in Camberwell, one of the more affluent suburbs around Melbourne, and, sort of they've been very non-committal and, oh, well, this is what we've got to do. And, they've towed the line all the way through. Even residents around Camberwell area are saying, I've had enough. This is a disgrace. Excuse me. And so they're even waking up as well too now. So without an exaggeration, get there tomorrow.
Yeah.
Just get there.
I agree.
Now, this is no longer about whether you're vaccinated or unvaccinated or any of that. This is about your freedoms.
Yeah.
Our future as a country going forward, because it's not only, like you said, it's not only Victoria, but if they implement that down here and a test case for the rest of the country, you can damn well bet that they'll try it in other states as well too.
So if there's 250,000 tomorrow, say 300,000, what do we hope to achieve by that? What message will be sent to the government, and will they actually act on any message that would send?
Well, it sends a big message, and it also gets the people. The message it sends is a strong one, because then it gets the people. So the mainstream media won't be able to ignore that and won't be able to hide it for starters. So then that gets out on the news reports as well too. Okay, the good old fake news. Now, bit of a sidebar. This is where we've got to look at the little signs that are happening. Okay, now you don't need to know. Anyone that's watched me over the last 20 months will know my views on the fake news media. Okay, I despise them because of, firstly, the fear they've driven in the community anyway.
They're an enemy of the people, Craig. That's what they've been.
They are disgusting, mate. The suicide rates in this state are directly responsible for the fake news media. I hope you're proud of yourself.
Before we go there, can you inform people, because I want to talk about your party, but can you inform people what you've done as a job for the last 16 years?
Yeah, Michael, for the last 16 years, I've run programs in schools, primary school and high school, and also for different community organisations for primary school age kids. The community organisations, I run programs, life skills programs with a bit of a martial arts flavour. With the community agencies, it was primary school age children who had parents with drug, alcohol and mental health issues. And in the schools, it was, young people that, had sort of self-esteem issues, low confidence, low motivation, and just run these programs to build some resilience and to get them feeling good about themselves. So that's what I've done for the last 16 years. Also done a lot of mentoring with teenage boys as well too. Did a lot of programs and spoken to a lot of young people and worked one-on-one with them that have had suicidal thoughts, that have attempted suicide before. And so I know, and I still have contacts in schools, and I still have many contacts with many parents groups and parents, and they tell me to a person that our kids are struggling. And they've been struggling for quite some time. They are really, really struggling, especially the ones now whose parents are clued up enough to, sorry, mate, I'm almost about to get emotional. Gee whiz.
Yeah, it happens, mate. It happens all the time.
It's disgraceful, mate.
It happens.
It's beyond disgraceful what these assholes have done to our kids, and they will pay.
Can I ask you, Craig? So you got 16 years experience.
Yep.
You're already dealing with children who are under pressure. We've got all our children are under pressure from these last few years. Now they're coming in and dividing the kids with 12-year-olds up. What's, in your professional opinion, what do you think that's going to have an effect on the kids? And let's talk about suicide because my fear now is we're going to lose children who have just said, that's enough, I want out of this society.
We spoke before off camera, Michael, and you, as an adult, you've got the worldly coping skills. I mean, a lot of adults don't have the coping skills now, and that's not a criticism. That's just the heightened state of what things are. But as a child, you're still learning to have the coping skills in life. These kids don't have the life experience, and they're still developing that resilience at that age. Now, Resilience, this has been my bugbears in the community, in the education system for quite some time. Resilience has been beaten out of kids. You know, they give them participation certificates, safe spaces, all the rest of it. Talk about our feelings too much. Now, yes, you have to talk about feelings, but it's too much of an emphasis on talking about feelings. So this is a systematic attack on our children's resilience for quite some time now. That's why our program was so much of a success with schools. We had a queue a mile long. This is not us trying to blow my trumpet, but that was just the facts. We had a line a mile long of schools banking up to use our services. We didn't have enough instructors, okay? And
who was funding it, Craig? Who was funding that program?
A lot of philanthropists were. A lot of funding bodies were. And sometimes if the funding bodies wouldn't come to the party.
Was government money, though, was it? Because ultimately, I think that's the problem, isn't it? We try to use government money to solve government issues, and therefore we come with all the ideology that government demands us to have that money in the first place.
Oh, we used to bend the rules a fair bit, mate. So that's why we weren't one of the education department's favourite programs. They made it hard for us for quite some time. But we had a good team of lawyers behind us, so that was good. But back to the question, Michael, friendship groups to kids at that age these days are massively important, and the bullying that goes on online with these people, with the young people, is massive. You know, when we went to school, there's a bit of bullying. You know, you went home and you could hide from it. Now it's constant because they get attacked online as well too. Now, I'm just providing some context. So, because these kids are getting bullied and ostracised by their friends. So I'm in real, gee whiz, I am in real fear of the suicidal thoughts that could perpetuate with these young people, because already, you know, they don't see any hope. There's not much hope coming from mum and dad, and that's understandable because, you know, mum and dad might have lost their jobs as well too. They're struggling to put food on the table. I mean, you just got to see the lines at the food bank these days, you know, for people lining up for food. So already they're hearing not much positivity coming from mum and dad. And then, you know, they're getting ostracised by their friends as, you know, oh, why don't you just take the vaccine? What's wrong with you? I'm in real fear. So that's up to, I think, people like myself, people like you, and every single person out there who has a platform. I think it's our moral obligation now, as best we can. Yes, we've got to provide the information, what's going on there, but we also have to provide a lot of comfort to these people as well too. And in terms of the adults, so that then that can trickle down and filter down to their kids, at least provide them some hope. Now, what can we do? All right. So maybe we've got a lot of Facebook groups, and this is where we've got to be careful with the creeps jumping on board as well too. So I don't know how you do it. Maybe not on social media is a good thing, but maybe there needs to be some connection with these kids in the community. Now, I'm going down to see a gentleman with a facility down in Frankston next week to start running programs with groups of kids down there that apparently the local businesses are keen to fund, okay? I mean, I'm going down there to do that for no cost. You know, it's not about money. It's about saving our bloody kids, primary school and high schools. Get them out there, teach them a bit of self-defense, you know, get them feeling good about themselves, give them something to look forward to, you know, because – gee whiz, there's not a lot to look forward to with these kids. And, you know, parents, we've got, 3 or 4 weeks left of school. If that, take them out of school. Take them out today. Do not let them go back on Monday. Okay? Now, even if you're both working and you can't, or, you know, might be a lot of single parent families at the moment, and they go to work and the kids can't get looked after, just try your best to get them looked after somehow. You know, maybe an uncle or an auntie or you know, a grandparent can look after and make a bit of sacrifice for the next 3 or 4 weeks, whatever. Okay, but take them out of school, because what we're hearing is, you know, and we're seeing schools over in Western Australia and other parts of the country that, you know, they're setting up now doctors in schools. Well, the doctors in schools were set up for this specific purpose, just to vaccinate your kids. Now, you know, to vaccinate your kids, you don't even need medical consent from your parents.
No,
you know, it's crazy. You know, you want to take them out on an excursion to a park a block away from the school, you'd have to get a written note from mum and dad. You want to vaccinate them with a poison experimental drug, and no consent required. It is absolutely madness.
They just have to be considered a mature minor. That's the word they're using. We're talking about it today. Yeah.
Take your kids out of school for their own, for their own peace of mind. Get them connected with other kids that, haven't been vaccinated as well too, and sell it to them like, hey, man, you're going to make some new friends. Mum and dad have made some new friends over the last 20 months. We've made a whole bunch of new friends. We've lost some friends. Yeah, sure, no worries. But we've gained a lot of really good ones, and you can do the same. Maybe sell that to them as well too, because I know.
Though, isn't it, Craig? They've been home for 2 years nearly.
It's massive. It's disgusting. So some of these kids
why hasn't there been more of a stink? Like, we know where the 12-year-old can decide for themselves, and a mature vaccinator can decide. We talked about this today. Can decide, okay, this kid's a mature enough minor to understand, and if you want, the parent can come down and sit there quietly and watch. I mean, this is an attack on the family unit. I mean, how do they get around that? Why aren't people more up in arms and saying, hey, that's the family unit, back the F off?
Because, as you know, this has been a systematic approach for years and years and years. It's just to destroy the family unit, and the indoctrination has been slow but steady, and more power has been placed in the school's hands. So parents just go, oh, well, the school says, so I have to. No, it's your bloody child. You have the ultimate power. I heard a parent say to me the other day, oh, I've got to write to the school and get permission to homeschool. No, you don't. It's your bloody kid. You don't need to ask the principal if you have permission to homeschool your kid. Say, I'm taking my child out of school. You can go and get stuffed. It's my kids. You do what you want. Send the truant as much as you like. They're getting homeschooled. They're not missing out on any education. It's my child. I say what goes. But most parents, why have most people succumbed wearing a mask? Oh, the government tells you have to do it, so you do it. No, you are the elector. You hold the power. You say what goes. All power in a nation state derives from you. You are the elector. Don't call yourself a voter either. You are not a voter. A voter is a term these corrupt politicians have come up with to devalue your worth. You are an elector, and your local elected official is a voice for you. They speak for you. They are not the kings and the queens. They can be replaced like that. And we have the power to do so. So in answer to your question, what's 250,000 going to do, Damien, before? A lot, because that sends a massive message that we aren't going to cop this anymore. And you better do something because you live in this community. So that's one of the messages it sends. Also, the fake news media, they can't hide that as well too. So the people that are at home that have had enough see that and they go, yeah, you know what? Next protest, I'm standing up as well too. Because that's what will happen this Saturday.
Oh, hopefully it grows. I really do. Chris Crystal here said, would you please ask Craig if there was any response received from the Governor-General to the letter sent by Ricardo Bossi?
Not to my knowledge. I haven't checked that with Rick because every day you wake up, you're faced with something new. To my knowledge, no. Okay, but we always thought, we always thought that we were hoping. Now, once again, for the last few months, we've just been throwing Hail Marys, just Hail Mary after Hail Mary, and hopefully one of it works. And that letter to the Governor-General was just another Hail Mary, okay, trying to appeal to any semblance of credibility that they may have.
Because I'm interested in Ricardo Bossi too, because he was sort of talking as if he's in a position where there's going to be some sort of massive court-martial for these corrupt bureaucrats, corrupt politicians, and the corrupt institutions, and sort of like had a deadline to the 1st of November. And I was always confused. I was baffled. I thought, well, what army is he going to be? You know what I mean? He's not actually even in the parliament. So I was just wondering what he was getting at there.
I'll clear that up. And we've been asked that question a lot. Okay. And thanks for bringing it up, Damien, because, I don't mind answering it again. Excuse me. I will preface this by saying, now people seem to think that I know what Ricardo knows. I don't. All right? I really don't. Okay, the whole A1 operation is run like a military style operation. Okay, you need to know what you need to know at the point of time you need to know it. Okay, do I know a little bit more than the average person? A little bit, not much more, a little bit. And that's not me being a smart ass or a big head or whatever. Okay, now, just because you don't see something happening or you're alerted of what's happening doesn't mean it's not happening. Okay, there's things at play. Ricardo made it. I'm getting to answering your question, Damien. I'm just giving it some context.
Yep.
Ricardo said for the last month now that we will have a better Christmas than what they will have. And you just got to look at the signs and the key indicators. And I'll bring one of those up in a moment. But back to your question. We've been saying for quite some time now that all these corrupt politicians, judges, police, all the rest of it, they're all going to pay. They will all pay. Now, if you keep saying that and saying that and saying that, it just becomes a nothing veiled threat, and it's not taken seriously. So when you're making claims like that, you've got to have a deadline. You've got to have a cutoff point. Okay. So October, the end of October was the cutoff point. All right. So basically to say, you have till the end of October to come and stand with the people. If you don't, when the arrests happen, and they will, make no mistake, and when the curtain's revealed and all the lies are exposed, and you squeal like a stuffed pig like they will, I'm sorry, you had your opportunity and you blew it. Okay? So that's what that was about. Okay? So does that answer? Does that clear up?
Because I was just wondering who would be making the arrests, because it seems to me like all the institutions are on the other side, especially as the higher up you go. Do you know what I mean? So I'm just wondering, it would be fantastic, and I hope Ricardo's right, and I hope he becomes the Prime Minister if he's right. But the reality is, who will be making those arrests?
Yeah, I don't know myself, you know. So, but one thing I do have is a lot of faith in Rick, because he's not one to make grandiose statements. He's very considered and very measured with what he says. Okay, has been for quite some time. And even with me, just the private conversations and the personal conversations we have, he's very considered and very measured as well too. Mm-hmm. He's not about to give people false hope either. Okay. One of the key indicators, what I mean by things are starting to change, the landscape is, okay, we all know the fake news media exaggerations. Okay. The news report from Channel 9 of the protest, they actually said there was about 80,000 people there, which was amazing.
That's right.
They also, on their grab, remember, was it Claire Woodley that got up and spoke about the satanic ritual abuse? Was that her name? Or? Yeah. Now, when she mentioned the satanic ritual abuse, they actually took that bite and played it on the Channel 9 news, and you could clearly hear her state about the satanic ritual abuse. That's massive. To put that on a mainstream media, on a news report, that's massive. That's a big key indicator. Now, a lot of people miss that because everyone's so heightened and living in the fear that a lot of people miss that little message, that little sign. Okay, now, this is one of the things why I'd love to see people calm down a little bit, because everyone is so heightened, okay, and because everyone is so fearful, they miss these little clear messages. Now, please let me preface that with say something else, and just hear me out, please, if with all due respect. I've been calling for calm a lot the last couple of months, especially the last week. People say, it's easy for you to say, Craig, you haven't lost your job. Well, yes, I have. I haven't worked for the last 18 months. I work 10 hours a week with a young fella with muscular dystrophy to help the family out as a carer. Okay, as a single dad, they lost their mum with cancer 5 years ago. There's the young fella, 16-year-old boy in a wheelchair with muscular dystrophy, the father and the daughter. Okay, so that's all I work, 10 hours a week. Okay, but maybe I've still got a bit of work. Okay. Yes, I understand there's a lot of suicides in the community as well too. Yes, I understand that there's a lot of businesses gone broke. Yes, I understand that mental health issues in some. I get all of that. But if people like me and you, Michael, if we're heightened and buying into the fear, that doesn't make it easier for people.
Yeah.
And the hard times I've gone through in my life, it's even more prevalent and more of a a duty to stay calm and stay focused, because the more heightened you are, all you're doing is buying into the fear and the future, 3 stages of existence, past, present, and future. When you're heightened with anxiety about something, you're not, and fearful and panicking, and you're living in the future too much of what the outcome may be, we've got to bring it back to presence as best you can. Now, I know that's hard. That's not being dismissive of what people, of what people are facing. That's just saying, hey, come on, you're not going to help your own situation and help yourself by living in fear all the time. And that's all I mean by that.
There's an instinct to want to fight, though, isn't there? That's sort of pretty, and people can easily cast aspersions on that as if that's something bad because you're angry. But at what point do you go, actually, I'm entitled to be angry?
Well, you are.
How many suicides does it take before a parent says, you know what?
Oh, I'm angry as well too. And
I had a father, or a friend told me that there was a father whose 12-year-old ended up in hospital with myocarditis, and the father's being sort of obedient up to now and compliant, but they're the ones that could turn quickly because they've done everything. And then there's their 12-year-old, and it doesn't matter how big their mortgage is or how much they're getting paid for their job. Their son's in hospital with this debilitating disease, and they feel they've been lied to. That's where a lot of the anger can come from. I mean, telling people like that to calm down is going to be very difficult,
When I say calm down,
oh no, I get you, Craig. I think at the moment there's fear, but I think there's other things happening too, and
feel that anger.
It's like a tinderbox at the moment, Melbourne.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
Feel that anger. Okay, 100%. Like we can't. We're emotional people, human beings, and some of us are more emotional than others. And I know I am. I wear my heart on my sleeve. So when you feel that anger, feel it, process it, and let it go. But of course you feel anger, but you can't walk around being angry 24/7. Okay. You feel it, have a release, go out and hit a punching bag, go out and just get that anger out of your system. Okay, because it is a tinderbox, Michael. Now, this is why they keep poking, and this is what the socialist communists do. They just poke and poke and poke and poke until they get a response. Now, if we have a violence outbreak, have a guess what they're going to do, mate?
I can't see them having a violent outbreak. I can see 1 or 2 people getting upset. But at the other steps the other day, there was a young man lost it. Damien was there. I was watching on the live feed. Turned out to be a young doctor. And 5 or 6 men came around, got him, calmed him down. So I think the crowd is very self-controlling. And whenever I've heard anyone getting angry, hear everyone calm down, calm down.
Yeah.
That was the same at the shrine and everywhere. The only time that I saw that wasn't the case was at Flinders Street when the shooting happened, but they had guns aimed at them. The young men were outraged. This was Australia, and they were having guns aimed at them and being called pussies and all sorts of stuff.
That was the first time they got those out. And
I was right there on the front line. There was pepper spray and everything. So apart from that, I've seen the crowd under really good control. Even at the Richmond one, people were sitting down on the ground. The police were above, but everybody was sitting down. The crowd seems to very well understand they want to be peaceful, and that any agitation is coming from the other side. But that's stopped since the lockdown, since Ackland Street with the picnic. I haven't seen any violence. I think the police have been terrific since then. So
they have
tomorrow.
They have. Because you're reminded in history, aren't you, of Neville Chamberlain giving Hitler Czechoslovakia, Will Czechoslovakia be enough? Well, it turned out that Czechoslovakia wasn't enough. It took force in the end, didn't it? It took force.
Yeah, correct. I mean, look, if it comes to that, it comes to that. But, don't forget they have the advantage over us in terms of, but if enough.
But not if Ricardo's got something up his sleeve. He's got a Trump card.
Oh, well, I don't know. Okay, when people say to me, "Oh, you must know," I don't. Okay, but all I know is that, like I keep saying, we will have a better Christmas than what they will. And there's things that are, unfolding that, like I said, if just because you don't see something or hear about something doesn't mean it's not happening either.
And so, what are you running for? Sorry, I was just going to ask you, Craig. What are you running for? What?
Cool.
Yeah. What position are you running for? Aren't you running with Ricardo's party in the next election?
Oh, look, if we don't choose our candidates, Damien. If my supporter group in my electorate chooses me to be their, I'll put my hand up to run. Okay. But it's up to this is the beauty of our party, mate. It's like no other. I've seen, all the other parties, you've got to put in an application to be a candidate and then they'll choose the candidates, okay? I'm sorry. No, okay? That's not open up for much, choosing someone that's going to toe the party line, is it? Okay? Your people in your electorate, people in our supporter groups choose the candidates.
You have a pre-selection. Well, most parties ostensibly do that.
No,
there's a lot of corruption. But
I'll explain the difference if you allow me to explain. 100% I agree with what you're saying, okay? We choose what I mean by, okay, so we might have 3 or 4 supporter groups in one area. They nominate a candidate, okay? Those candidates then come up to the executive and they get a bit of a background check because we don't want any nasty surprises come election time, okay? And once they get the tick off, then they go back to the electorate and then they have a good old-fashioned style pre-selection, and then the candidate out of those 3 supporter groups, or 4 or 5 or 6, is then chosen. They get up there and they state their case, and then they get fired questions at people on there by the electorate, and then a vote's taken, and then that's when you get the candidate. Okay, now that's like no other political organisation. Okay, because yes, other organisations will have their pre-selection, but that's after they've submitted an application, not chosen by the people in their electorate at all. Those people, anyone can apply, but guess who sits there and ticks it off? The party machine.
Well, that's why Somurek is before IBAC at the moment, because it was branch stacking. So he was stacking that system to get candidates that he wanted to win, putting people that were actually dead as if they were still members and stuff, and getting the candidates up that they wanted. So, and he's saying that he learnt all that from Daniel Andrews. So he's spilling his beans.
But in answer to your question, mate, yes, I'll put my hand up to run in both federal and state elections, mate.
And which seat are you going to run in, mate? Do you mind?
I'm out in the seat of Casey at the moment, but I'm looking to move. That's a federal seat, but I'm looking to move in the next little while. So
fastest growing region in Australia, or at least it was until the pandemic hit. I imagine it's probably maybe slowed down. So people are leaving.
Yeah, it's a pretty big electorate actually, federally. Mm-hmm. So,
how's your party going at the moment? Because I see Bossy coming up a lot, but how's it going? How are you growing? You growing at a good pace?
Mate, to use a footy analogy, we're kicking goals from outside 50 against the wind, mate. Okay, we are absolutely flying at the moment. Okay, so on the left as well too, from the boundary. There you go, one of those Eddie Betts specials. But just on that, good on Liam Jones.
Yeah,
what a hero. Let's put a shout out to Liam Jones. Well done, absolutely. Liam. Yep. Well done, mate. Good on you.
Out of all the AFL players, is he the only one? Is he the only one? Oh,
yep.
Yeah, I think so, isn't it?
Yep, I know. But no, we're going really well. My phone doesn't stop. My inbox is full. We're getting people, emails. I want to jump on board. I want to apply. You just need a working with children's check and just your AC confirmation. Now, we're the only political organisation, once again, that asks for a working with children's check. We don't want pedophiles in the organisation. Now, it's not a foolproof method, I know, but it's a start and it's something, okay? We are having, supporter groups being added to. It's just a constant flow of people. It's growing, exponentially. The amount of people that we're getting sign up to our website on a weekly basis is just through the roof. Mate, we're growing. We are just the arc. I made a joke with Rick the other day. I rang him up. I said, mate, I think we're going to need to build a bigger arc. So it's going well, mate.
Have you got Indigenous heritage, Craig?
Pardon?
Are you from Indigenous heritage?
Oh, I don't know, Damien. I was adopted at 3 days old, so I don't know my actual natural. My adopted parents, beautiful people. Mum passed away, rest her soul, 10 years ago. Dad worked his ass off, and I couldn't have been more blessed to have ended up with my mother and my father. They're just absolutely beautiful.
You grew up in Melbourne?
Yeah, well, Melbourne born and bred, mate. Western suburbs boy to start off with, and then moved over to the east because of work purposes. Just a kid from Gladstone Park, mate.
It'd be interesting having, if you got in, it'd be interesting having someone. I mean, used to be a wrestler, and it'd be interesting to see if anyone would have the guts to take you on, thinking they snapped you across, they'd be the first one. But I don't think you'd ever do that. But it's just an interesting thing, and I think it'd be.
But add a new element to the parliamentary debate, wouldn't it? If you thought Craig,
yeah, I think
we could open it up and have parliamentary tables, ladders, and chairs, perhaps, Damien. But we'll have to put good old shoelaces through a table. But yeah, no. Well, Jesse over in America, Jesse Ventura was the governor. Yeah. He was a pro wrestler that went into politics. So yeah.
So what was your wrestling career? I don't know.
Yeah, spent 15 years.
What was your wrestling career, Craig? I've got no idea. So what did you do as a wrestler?
Yeah, so the pro wrestling scene here in Australia is a pretty good one, actually. We've got some amazingly talented people, amazingly talented boys, and many of them have gone over in the last few years and had WWE contracts. Is the amount of talent we have over here, but it's not well. We have problems in terms of marketing and because the dollar value to get out there, but in terms of being able to advertise and things like that, and the promoters just average everyday people who love wrestling, and but geez, we've got some talent, and I spent the last 15 years of a wrestling career. Wrestling, the name was the Pitbull. Okay, so I got that off.
I might cross over into politics. Sorry.
Yeah. The Pitbull, mate, as in dog.
Oh, the Pitbull. Oh, that's great. You'd be the whip.
Yeah.
Whip it. So how did you come to meet Ricardo? How did that meeting take place?
Yeah, thanks. Yeah, good question. Thanks for that. It was really funny. Look, I've got my own beliefs, and I believe in a higher source. And I never used to be a subscriber of things happen for a reason, because I never used to think that your destiny's preordained and just a series of events that lead to another. But geez, the last 20 months, I'm starting to think there's a little bit of merit in that, because of the hundreds of messages. And I started. Sorry, I know I'm going all over the place here, but I'm just giving context to it. 20 months ago, when I was had my job taken away from me because we weren't allowed to work in schools because of all this COVID hoo-ha, I've had all these skill sets, was good at talking. I'm thinking I had a lot of knowledge in terms of, probably called the crazy conspiracy theorist for the last 20 years of my life. I've got to do something here. I'm not going to sit on my fat ass and do nothing. So I started just on my own personal page, speaking out, doing live posts. And then that grew. And then a few people said, oh, you should get a page started. Oh, no, who's going to bloody listen to my fat head? So, it's and it grew at 1,000, 2,000. It just grew and grew and grew. And I used to get hundreds of messages all the time. And this one gentleman up in Bendigo, John, sent me a message one time. It was a clip from Ricardo from 2017 when he was on The Outsiders. I kid you not, I watched 30 seconds of it. That's enough for me. I've got to get in touch with this bloke. Who's this bloke? Got in touch with, I
saw that interview. Yeah.
I just know. I just knew. I just absolutely knew this is the man that's going to save this country. Okay. Rang him up on a Friday night. Now, he's got a wife in a wheelchair with MS and two daughters that he homeschools. So 5:45 on a Friday night, he would have been cooking the dinner. Still took my call from a random number that would have come up. Okay. Took my call and gave me about 20 minutes of his time. I actually wanted to get him on to interview him on the page. He said, look, mate, he said, I'm 4 weeks out of with all due respect, thank you very much. He goes, I'm 4 weeks out from contesting an election. That was the Eden Monaro by-election in Sydney last year. He was running as an independent candidate. And let me, I'll come back to that about us being registered with the AEC, if you allow me to answer that as well too after this, okay? Because I just want to clear up some misconceptions as well too. Anyway, he said, look, if you really want to help out, if you know anyone up in New South Wales that could help out manning polling booths and how to vote cards, would be greatly appreciated. I did a live post later on that night, about half an hour after speaking with him. He actually seen it, come across it, then took the time out to ring me back the next morning to thank me for it. I thought, wow, this guy's a gentleman. Okay. Anyway, cut a long story short, I organised a team of people. There was about 6 of us that drove up to Eden. and around the Maroondah area, and manned the polling booths and did the scrutineering for him. About a month after that, he contacted me. I mean, I've been speaking to him intermittently in between then anyway, but a month after that,
How did he go? How did he go in the Eden area?
Not really well. Not really well. He did a lot better in the Queensland election, but no one knew about him then.
Sure.
That was the problem.
Yep.
No one knew about him then. So it's a bit different story now. So about a month after that, the executive and Rick contacted me and offered me the position as the A1 coordinator down here. So there you go. Yeah.
Okay, cool.
Now, just on the AEC. Sorry, Michael?
Just to wrap one thing up, you said you wanted to wrap it up because we're sort of hitting the time now. So what was the last thing you wanted to say?
Yeah, we get a lot of questions and people saying, oh, well, you're not a registered party yet. That makes no difference. Makes zero difference. And I'll explain why. If we are a registered party, now we'll apply to the AEC once we open for memberships, which is not far away. Once we get to the 1,500, which is the quota you got to get to apply, and we'll do that easily. Then we'll apply to the AEC. If we are given the tick off by the AEC by the time the next election comes and we're a registered party, no, and let's not worry about sitting in treason and registered parties being unlawful. That's another conversation for another time. Okay.
When's the cutoff point for that though? That'll be coming pretty soon, wouldn't it? The election's meant to be due around March, maybe May.
Yeah, with your registered party. Well, let's be honest, we're not going to be registered by the time the next election comes around because they're going to delay the process and they're not going to make it easy for us. Makes no difference because all that will happen is instead of running as an A1 candidate, you'll run as an independent candidate exactly the same way as Ricardo did in the Eden Monaro by-election and also the Queensland state election. You'll run as an independent candidate with the full backing, support and policy of A1. Makes zero difference. That's a simple answer. It's a very simple answer to a simple question. People think there's some, hidden meanings and it's, more involved in that. It's not. It's real simple. We'll run as our candidates will still get chosen by our supporter groups, still go through the process. They'll just run as independent, like I said, with the full backing, support and policy of A1. Pretty simple.
I've got one more question. Michael's a quick one and I'm out. Okay, one more.
Yeah, go ahead.
Craig, you've been doing live streams. Have you been banned from YouTube yet?
I've had about 5 30-day bans from Facebook. I'm not.
We got kicked off YouTube last night. Okay.
Did you really?
Did we? You didn't tell me. we keep getting kicked off.
With our doctors, yeah.
Is that our last one? Is that our last warning? Or I don't know.
Wow.
Yeah, you got to be kicked off. You're not saying anything interesting. You're not saying anything interesting if you haven't been kicked off. You got to be kicked off. We set up a new channel, and that's now that's on. YouTube. They like talking about kittens and flowers. Anyway, sorry, Craig. As you were. Sorry.
Seen a question come up here. Do we need 1,500 supporters? We've got a lot more than 1,500 supporters. Like I said, we will get 1,500 members in no time at all. Won't be that part of the application process won't be an issue. Will not be a problem. Do it in our sleep.
But not for this election, not for the upcoming federal election.
Well, let's talk reality here. They're not going to make it easy for us. And when Malcolm Turnbull's in power, he put in legislation to draw out the process for 2 years. If they want to make it 2 years, they can. So good old Malcolm. So I'd love to have been a fly on the wall when Trump summoned him over there and ripped strips off him. It was been heard to have echoed down the corridors. Actually, watch this space on Malcolm Turnbull and Alexander Downer as well too, guys. Just watch this space.
Anything you want to give us any more than that, or is just?
It'll be a thing of beauty, mate. It'll be fantastic. It'll be great.
Yeah, okay. Someone here is asking about the doctors. The doctors is on our Rumble channel. Just look up Cafe Lockdown on Rumble. And they're coming back on Wednesday night. There was the show ended abruptly the other night. We don't know what happened. So on Wednesday night, they're coming back and going to do a Rumble show. And it's interesting. We might even have a priest with them. So priests and doctors are the dual things that will get you cut off any channel because they don't like hearing the priests and doctors speak openly in this world we're in. Yeah.
No.
Yeah, no worries, Craig. Craig, I'll let you finish with anything you want to say to the
Thanks,
people.
Craig.
And then we'll wrap up the show.
Thank you, guys. Thanks once again. I love coming on here and talking with you. And Damien, it's the first time I've been on when you've been on. There was another gentleman last time, but thanks very much for you guys providing the platform. What you're doing, you guys putting your head out there for ridicule and put up as well too. So keep on going.
Who's been ridiculing us? There's someone been ridiculing us.
I've been ridiculing you.
You didn't say anything, Michael. Ridicule what?
from you know who, but I just want to, guys. Tomorrow is a massive day. One of the most important days in this state's history. Not only the state, the country. Yeah. So I implore all of you to implore your friends. Just to get there. This is not about a virus anymore. It's not about
unvaxxed. Just come on down.
Unvaxxed,
12 o'clock,
left and right.
12 o'clock, meet at the steps of Parliament to march to Flagstaff Gardens. At 12 o'clock, steps of Parliament. If you don't make that, turn up at Flagstaff Gardens because that's where we're going. Sorry, Craig.
Yeah.
Sorry, mate. Say that again. Flagstaff Gardens.
Yeah, we're turning up at 12 o'clock from the Parliament to Flagstaff Gardens.
So we're marching from Parliament to Flagstaff.
Flagstaff Gardens, yep.
Mate, Flagstaff Gardens won't be big enough to hold us, okay? Just like that movie with the scene in Jaws where he turns around and says, I think we're going to need a bigger boat. I think we're going to need a bigger park, guys. And it'll be bloody fantastic, okay? And we'll just flood the streets. But 250,000 minimum, guys. Melburnians and people from Victoria, I know you've stood up beautifully over the last 20 months, but it's the final quarter of the grand final.
That's right.
And we need to kick a few goals. So get there tomorrow in numbers, in force. Get your friends there and let them know this is not about a virus. It is not about left or right. It is about the future and freedoms of this state. And we need to stand up as one big giant collective in peace and in love and send a message to these communist pricks to go and get stuff. This is our state and you're not taking it off us. Much love, guys.
That's right. That's right. And I'm going to play these. These two guys are coming on Sunday. They I don't have their name just here, but they came up to the steps and they played this the other night. They've got their own song as well. We're getting them on Sunday night. They're a lovely couple of guys. Look what they did on the steps the other night. We'll go out with this. Great to have you on, Craig, and I'll see you tomorrow, mate. Look forward to it. I'll keep an eye out for you.
Always a pleasure. Love getting the hug off you, mate.
All right, guys. Victory song. Can we all sing together?
Ding dong, the witch is dead.